Okay, and now on to sports. President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated the new World Boxing Federation International Super Featherweight Champion, Ridwan Oyekola, also known as the Scorpion, on his victory.
In a statement from Presidency, he joined all Nigerians to celebrate what he describes as a historical feat after 57 years. He affirmed that Oyekola's victory over an Argentine fighter, Lucas Montesino, brought more glory to the country in a sport where another Nigerian, Anthony Joshua, consistently blazes the trail. He enjoins all youths to diligently follow their passion to the point of global recognition and celebration. All right, joining us now is former England Rugby Union player and sports analyst Dayo Adebayo. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight. Now, let's start with the bad news first. Tell us more about the American footballer Ty Jordan, who accidentally shot himself dead.
Unfortunately, he was only 19 years old, just started his freshman year at University of Utah, and his mother died of cancer recently as well. So there was a lot of issues in his life, but he was a rising star in American football, very talented young man, and he had a bright future. Unfortunately, he's left us too soon, so may his soul rest in peace.
Okay, when you look at what has happened, and now the Tokyo 2020 Olympics are due to take place from July 23rd to August 8th next year, and yet we see that Japan is still grappling with the pandemic and has imposed a ban on foreign visitors. Will the Olympics still hold? Do you think it will still go ahead?
Depends, because obviously, as everyone knows, everyone's waiting for the vaccine. And we're hoping that'll be the panacea, but we're not quite sure. So I think what's going to happen, every sort of country has different protocols, and they're going to put that in place. I think what Japan is doing, especially in Tokyo, is to try and bring down the infection rate now, before the summer. So when the summer arrives, they'll be ready for the Olympics. I think the Olympics will go on as long as herd immunity is in place and the vaccine is being proved successful.
See that the Spurs-Fulham game might be in jeopardy due to COVID-19. How disruptive could things get on the football circuit?
I mean, they cancelled the Everton-Man City game. So there's a number of games which are going to be cancelled. And the Premiership chairmen are all thinking of postponing the league for 2 weeks in January, so to stop the infection rate. 18 infection rates this year, and it's been a complete nightmare for them, and hopefully it will improve. But like all sports and all society, it's very easy to catch this virus, and it's very difficult to control it. So hopefully down the road, things will get better.
So before we let you go, we see that the Indian Wells 2021 BNP Paribas Open has been postponed, again due to COVID-19. What does this do for tennis season, which barely seems to have taken off post the first wave and the lockdowns?
I mean, a lot of sports now in trouble with the COVID. But what each federation, each sports governing body has to do is create a protocol for themselves, decide what they need to do, and implement it. Hopefully down the road, closer to the summer, the European summer, there'll be more tennis being played. But at this present moment, with the way things are around the world, we're very difficult to A, have live games, and B, have spectators specifically in this stadium. So down the road, we're hoping that things will improve, and we hope we'll improve as sports fans ourselves.
Hoping that things will actually improve. But to what extent would you say that sports generally has changed? And do you envisage sports will come back to what we always knew it to be? Or what changes do you envisage that will be a permanent feature?
I think the real changes will be individual. It will be up to the individual person who goes to watch sports, especially spectators, to decide how they want to watch their sports, whether they want to be in large crowds, whether they're happy to watch it at home, or they go to the stadium. You're going to have the diehards who are going to stay and watch the game in the stadiums. and sports will return to normal gradually, probably towards the end of next year, and things will get back in place, touch wood.
With that kind of situation, how do you expect that to impact on the lower cadre of football teams, rugby teams, cricket teams, who don't have the money of Manchester United, Arsenal and all that? How do they survive in this kind of situation when they depend largely on their audience? They're the people who come and watch the games.
Exactly, the fans. It just shows now how important fans are, that we shouldn't take fans for granted. I mean, the lower sports who are not making as much money, what they're doing is, consolidating for the year, and then down the road, make sure that the fans can come into place. But if they don't put the protocols in now, it will never improve. So that's where government comes in. There are obviously stipulations they have to abide by with government and all over the world. And also, most governments are funding sports and giving them some sort of buffer until they can find their feet. So I think that's what's going to keep happening. Government helping to small lower league clubs, like especially football Premiership. The big Premiership clubs are helping the lower league clubs. So I think that will continue, and then hopefully things will improve towards the end of next year.
Funding. Let's talk about FIFA's plan to fund, to construct a technical center near Bamako. It's called Kabbalah. What are your thoughts on this, and what kind of value do you think this will bring?
It's a fantastic idea. It's like a sports center whereby the elite sportsmen can go to that particular area, get the best nutrition, get the best medical treatment, physio, so it's a huge improvement for that area of Africa. So long may continue. The problem is, are they going to do the rest for other African countries? So once they've started it now, they have to do the rest all over Africa, all over different countries. Whether they're doing it in the 54 countries in Africa, that's another story, but hopefully they'll help other federations as well.
Well, I guess everyone will think it's probably never going to happen, that FIFA will spend the same amount of money across the continent if they have that money at all. But let me take you back a few steps, just to back to football, rugby and cricket and all the other big sports.
Okay.
We know that a number of star athletes are earning millions, not in endorsement, as salaries from the sports that they play, from the clubs that they play for. Do you think that this is sustainable in the face of this pandemic? Will the likes of Messi and Ronaldo still be paid the same kind of number of millions per week that they're earning, or monthly?
It's sustainable because they still have the TV contracts in place. So as long as the TV contracts are in place, it's sustainable, but not for a long period of time. They have to do it for a short period of time. If this pandemic goes on for another 2 years, it's never going to happen. But I think they can sustain it until the end of next year. After that, serious questions are going to be asked. Some sports are asking their players to take a pay cut. In rugby, for an example, in England, a lot of the players are taking up to 50 to 20% pay cuts while the pandemic is in place, is happening all over the world. So some football clubs have asked their players to take pay cuts as well. But once the pandemic hopefully goes away towards the end of next year, everything will be back in place, but it's not sustainable for a long period of time.
Okay,
yeah,
well,
it's understandable.
Thank you very much, Dayo Adebayo, former England rugby player and someone who's doing a lot still in the world of sports. Thank you very much for your contribution.
Thank you very much.